I'm Michelle Steele with your latest ESPN headline. Navy is taking its time to join the Big East in football. And here to discuss on the phone is Brett McMurphy, who wrote the story for us at ESPN. So, Brett, I want to ask you, why is the Big East pushing for Navy to join ahead of schedule?
I think one of the main reasons is they're currently renegotiating their TV deal, their new media rights deal with ESPN, and then if they don't come to an agreement with ESPN, which I don't think they will initially, then they'll open it up to other networks, most notably NBC. I think that it would make it a lot easier if they had Navy on board sooner to negotiate the new TV rights deal, although I'm sure all the networks are well aware that Navy's coming on board in 2015. So it would just be simpler for the Big East if they had Navy earlier. It also probably would be easier to add a 14th team or go after a 14th team. So I think that's why Mike Oresco, mentioned that last week, that he wanted to try to get Navy to come in earlier. But as AD Chet Gladchuk told me, he said that's not going to happen. They've been prepared for 2015. They've got a lot of things going on at the school, stadium expansion, and other things. So Navy is still coming to the Big East, but not until 2015.
So the AD says that's not going to happen. At least it's not going to happen until 2015. And does that mean that it's a 0% chance, or is it, could they sweeten the pot, so to speak? Could the Big East, could Mike Oresco turn around to Navy and say, listen, we can make this worth your while?
Well, that's a good question, and that's what it would have to take. And I don't think Navy is holding out for that reason, but certainly if the Big East came to them and said, look, we will pay you X millions of dollars, and it would make sense for Navy to do it, then I think they would do it. But Navy's a complicated situation. They've got individual game contracts through 2018 that they're currently trying to get out of. They have individual bowl contracts through 2017. They have TV contracts with CBS College Sports and also CBS Sports for the Army-Navy game through 2018 that they've also got to maneuver. And, so it's not like they're moving from one conference to another. They're moving from being an independent with 12 individual games scheduled every year to go into a conference where you're going to have 8 conference games and 4 non-conference games. So that makes it a lot more difficult.
Right.
Certainly if the Big East would throw several $1 million at Navy to get them to move earlier, I think they would. However, the Big East wanted Boise State to join this year, and Boise State needed, I believe it was $10 million to get out of the Mountain West a year early, and the Big East wouldn't pay Boise State $10 million to join the Big East a year early. I doubt that they would pay Navy that kind of money to move it up a year or two.
Finally, just briefly here, you talk to a lot of college insiders in football and basketball. How stable do you think the Big East is right now?
Well, I mean, people don't like when I say this, but the reality of it is the Big East is as stable as the 5 power conferences are. If any of those 5 power conferences want to add another school, it's going to be from the Big East. And currently the Big East media rights deal is worth $3 million, about $3.5 million per school. The new media rights deal, there's been estimates that it could be worth anywhere from $4 million to $10 million per school. Even if you take the high number and say they get $10 million per school, if any of those Big East schools got an offer from another power conference, those schools make $20 million a year on media rights. So certainly that's why all these schools would leave the Big East. Certainly the most attractive target is Louisville. The most likely option for them would be the Big 12, and without question, Louisville would leave the Big East for the Big 12. So the best thing the Big East can hope for is that there's no other expansion above them, because if there is, they're going to come to the Big East for that team.
All right, so from the sounds of it, conference realignment long from over here. Brett McMurphy, thanks so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Again, that was Brett McMurphy with ESPN, and that was your latest ESPN headline.